It's had a good day so far.
Yeah, it has been a very busy day. There's we're experiencing a bit of trouble on the platform at the moment, so
Oh, wow.
it's been it's been one of those days. But
Hopefully,
yeah,
hopefully,
I'm sure
hopefully,
I'm sure it'll be fine by the end of today.
hopefully those days are few and far apart.
Yeah, it's bound to happen, especially when you're growing, right? So yeah. We find a solution and move on, really.
Right. I've read somewhere from a founder that the process of building up is when it is toughest, and then once the product reaches a certain level, then everything is just smooth sailing from there. Do you agree?
Yeah. I would like to think so. I mean, I've not gotten to that trough. A lot of things are still new for us. I mean, we've grown very, very fast in in the past year. So it'd be nice to get to that point where everything is like smooth sailing and everything is running on its own. But we still have like a very new team that's getting to learn how to work with one another. So I think yeah, we'll get to that point
Okay,
eventually.
that's great. But I want to talk about the impact of Terminal Africa already, right? Because
Okay.
I read somewhere that you had worked with some e-commerce managers in Nigeria and you had identified some problems that you wanted to solve with Terminal Africa. So how is that going exactly? How are the solutions that you're actually providing to the industry?
Yeah, it's going really well. Like you mentioned, we didn't actually set out to build a logistics platform for Terminal. We were actually working a lot more with e-commerce businesses in this space. Of course, as things grew, and we culture we have is listening to customers, right? A lot of people were just, shipping was a big challenge for them, and so um, we decided to focus on that. And think in terms of impact, where we've grown significantly over the past couple of months. I think a lot of people probably learn more about the impact that we're having on the space. But we can get into some numbers if that's if that helps to understand context. But no, when it comes to shipping now, I think we're probably up there with you know the standout performance in that category. And so yeah, we're doing a lot in this space at the moment.
Okay, but we don't mind you talking about numbers. I mean, numbers.
Okay, so we currently serve about 8,000 customers in Nigeria. You know, in terms of parcel deliveries, we probably by the end of December would have shipped over 50,000 parcels this year. For context, up until March, we had not even done up to 8,000. So that's how much of a roller coaster the past probably 8 9 months have been. And you know, in terms of value, those parcels are probably worth more than three billion naira. So from growing from where we were in January to where we are at now, I think it's been pretty chaotic of going through that journey, but yeah, it's great. So I think when I hear stories from our customers on the kind of impact Terminal is having on their lives, not just for them personally but for their families, it makes it all worth it as well.
That's great. But I hear that there are plans to expand next year to other countries in Africa. I mean, with all the chaos the last 9 months have brought. Can you talk to us
Yeah.
about it?
Expansion is not going to be. I mean, we've grown to a point, right? So we've learned a lot in that process. So when we look at expansion, it's not going to be the same way that we started here. Over the next year, we're thinking about three markets in particular: Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. For now, we're really just doing the, groundwork, talking to, stakeholders in these markets, trying to understand, okay, how do they actually do deliveries in this market? How do the customers interact with the partners traditionally? Just to, from a value standpoint, understand what we need to change, and how we, present the service to them in these markets. And then also, from a compliance side, making sure that, because that's what we face some challenges in that department here. Not necessarily with compliance, but with our partners, right? There was just a lot we didn't understand about how they wanted to work with us when we were starting. So, that's something that we're engaging them upfront now, before we even start doing any deliveries. And so, yeah, that's how we're thinking about expansion. But by next year, I think in at least 2 of those locations, we should be operational by the end of next year.
Okay, that's noteworthy. But talking about partnerships, I mean, I know you already have some partners already. I just touched briefly on the kind of how challenging it can be to work with partners, but are you looking to get more partners? Are you looking for any particular partner in mind to form a partnership with?
So, the relationship that we have with a lot of the global players here in Nigeria, the likes of your DHLs, your FedEx, UPS, and such, it cuts across these markets as well. So, from that standpoint, we're leveraging the existing relationships we have to then connect us to their colleagues in these markets and build up the partnership from that basis. But of course, we are always looking for more partners, because it's a big value proposition for us that when customers come to terminal, they have like a full range of choice. It's been the case in Nigeria, and we want the same, whether we're in Kenya, working with smaller logistics businesses there that, maybe do deliveries within Nairobi or certain other cities. And so, yeah, that's definitely in our plans.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's talk a little about yourself for now. I mean, what's it like to be a founder and CEO? Because if you're not turning off one fire, one place, that's an issue. Just your average day, how would you describe your average day? Now?
It's just, I think being a founder, so I think there are different stages, right? If I were to look at maybe myself as a founder last year, I was just, day to day, I was just waking up and writing code and, maybe talking to a few customers. It was very easy, or, well, not easy, but straightforward, right? You're in control of your time. As things grow, that control almost just vanishes. It's like you're just doing like 10 things at the same time, and everything has to be done eventually. So it can be emotionally draining. I think that has been the experience for the past 2-3 months. So you definitely have to like fight to find time off for yourself and time to actually do other things. But yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster for sure. So it's not, I mean, you get the what would I call it? There's a lot of attention, right? Being a founder of a fast growing startup and things like so. That's nice and all, but when you compare that to what you have to do on a day-to-day to grow the business and getting pushback from investors, dealing with like key customers, issues on your platform, it's a lot. It's a whole lot, and then managing your team as well. But yeah,
I can't even imagine how that works. So you actually now find time to do other things apart from work. Like how do you do the work-life balance thing? What do you do for fun? If you have any fun.
Yeah, I do. Oh no, I mean, my own idea of fun is relaxing, right? So I don't do things that would take my energy, because the day-to-day already does that. Like, so, if it's like going to the spa, getting my lottery twisted, like getting a lineup, watching TV shows, just chilling, or maybe going out for drinks if the opportunity is there, or yeah, but minimal stuff that it's nice and relaxing, but won't like take too much too much energy. And in terms of how I do that now, it's mandatory, right? In the past, I would just let work like take over my entire schedule, even weekends. And what you find is that you probably just burn out at some point. And so now, like, whether the world is like crashing around me, I would make it a note to say, okay, this Saturday, I'm going to do this just so and it's not related to work, and, it disconnects. So that helps, maintain some sort of balance.
Oh, that's good. And you are co-founder with your brother.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah,
does
yeah.
how does that work? When I found out about that, I was so jealous. I wish my brother and I could, co-found the
Yeah,
startup that and work together hand in hand every day.
yeah. Honestly, it's a blessing, right? My brother and I have pretty much done everything together, like, since we were kids. I skipped a year in primary school, and since like GSS1, we've been in the same class all through, like went to the same university, graduated, started a business together. So we pretty much done everything. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Like there are moments when we clash. That has been there too. That has been consistent, like across board. But because we've spent so much time together in our lives, we share a lot of the same values. And so I think when you're co-founding a startup with anyone, that's important, because at least from a vision perspective, and even in terms of culture and team management, you're probably aligned on a lot of things, and that's the case with us.
Oh, that's great. It must be really amazing to have your brother as wingman and your partner all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that's still a bit of the early stages for Terminal Africa, but do you think you see yourself, you and your brother, starting another, maybe start up another business later in the future when it's smooth sailing?
Yes. I mean, yeah, there are a couple of other things that we've thought about. Of course, the focus now is on, building terminal and, getting it to the point where we return value for the people that have helped us get to this point, and things like that. But for sure, like, I have other ideas that I want to work on. He, equally has ideas, and I'm sure we'd always work on these things together, because that's just the way it's been. So yes, there's more to come, but terminal first.
That's great. So now let's come back to Terminal for a little bit. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Terminal Africa is keen on encouraging women-owned or women-led businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? How is Terminal implementing that?
Yeah, so if we were a traditional business, you probably have like would I say, like an initiative to help women, but by default, that's what we do, because if we look at our customer base, mostly because of the segment that we're in, dealing with SMEs, shipping consumer goods, 65% of these customers are like women, probably even closer to 70. Um, and if we look at key customers, that's like the guys that are actually shipping a lot on terminal, then it's even closer to 80. So by default, for terminal to succeed, we have to make our business or our platform work in a way that serves these women-led businesses. Of course, from my own perspective, within our team, that's where we've probably tried to be a lot more intentional, because if you look at maybe certain roles in tech, especially when it comes to maybe senior positions, you don't really get as many women that get certain opportunities. Look at maybe engineering, for example. And that's something that we tried to be very intentional with. It wasn't easy, because even when we tried to hire a senior engineer, and we told our recruiters that, oh, this, like, for this role, we actually want like a woman, they were like, oh, this is going to be difficult, because there aren't, they felt like, oh, there aren't many women that would have the kind of credentials that we're looking for. So that's an area where we've tried to be intentional, because in that situation we control But with our business, it's default. Like it's default. So yeah, that's really how we think about it.
That's great. I think it's very refreshing to see that a company is going out like to purposefully close the gender gap in tech.
Yeah,
Kudos.
we try. Yeah.
Kudos to that. That's great. So, what are your proudest moment as a founder?
I think we'd probably there have been a lot, right? There have been a lot of proud moments. You know, looking at the team, I think we closed out on hiring probably end of last month. No, so sort of mid last month. And yeah, just looking at the team, seeing how far we've come. I mean, beginning of the year we're just 3. Now we're a team of 27. It's a lot of progress. And just looking around and feeling like, wow, okay, this is this is actually serious now. Like there's a lot of people to look after. And yeah, that was a very proud moment for me. But if I had to pick like a standout moment, it's probably our very first customer. And it goes way back to when we were, still trying to do the e-commerce play. But man, the experience of, putting someone's business online and then seeing them like, sell a product through a platform that you built. I literally remember where I was that day, like what I was doing, probably even what I was wearing. Like that memory is etched in my mind because when that transaction went through, it was just like, wow, okay, we actually helped someone do this. And so it was probably the moment where you realize that, okay, we can actually, these things that we dream about, you can actually do. I mean, it was just one transaction that was worth like 30K, but it was the genesis for everything that we're doing now. So yeah, for me, I hope that there are going to be a lot more moments, that we are extremely proud of. But I hope I don't forget that one. Yeah.
I don't think you will. I don't think you will. So, are there like other startups that inspire you, other founders that inspire you, and you're like, you know what, that guy is doing a good job. You should learn a thing or two from that.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of startups. And yeah, if I started to name, like I'll name a lot, but certain startups stand out to me. Of course, that's down to my personality as it, who I am. But if I had to pick, it'd probably be the guys at Paystack, Shola and Ezra. I think from a product perspective, what they built is by any standard, right? By any measure, it's exceptional, no matter how you flip it. The impact that it's had on the ecosystem, the opportunities it created for other startups, even like Terminal, to exist. You can't really quantify that. Like, so, it's something that I hope or even dream that, Terminal can do for other businesses in the logistics space. But yeah, those guys for sure stand out. I actually tried to work there at a point, like I applied for a job. But yeah. But yeah, that's how inspiring that platform was for me, like early on in my career. So yeah, I think if we're looking at Nigeria, for sure that stands out to me.
Well, that's great, but I'm sure that a lot of other founders or upcoming founders look up to you already, or they hope to look up to you in the future.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe in the future. Now I think we're still we're still manifesting. So maybe in the future, but yeah, I mean that's the dream, right? So yeah, I think that's probably what we aspire to.
Yeah, but for now, like considering the experience that you have already, what advice would you give to other founders or upcoming founders?
Um, Focus. Honestly, I think it's important not to get distracted with like a lot of the buzz that goes around startups. Terminal now, probably over the next year, a lot more people start to realize what Terminal is doing, and probably feel like, oh, it's happened in, 1 year. I mentioned this year has been crazy, but I mean, there was a lot of work going on before this year, with all the other things we were doing. And so, yeah, I think having that focus and at least staying true to whatever it is that you're building is what will get you to the point. Just focus on delivering value for your customers, building something that they love and enjoy to use. Of course, try to make money from it. And yeah, you'd get there eventually if you're persistent enough. So I think that's the advice I'll give to any founder.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for this call, considering the busy day that you're already having.
Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I'm Tomio, by the way. I didn't get to introduce myself before we started.
Yes, we jumped straight in. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you, man.
I can't wait to see what Terminal goes on to do next year with the expansion and especially for closing the gender gap in tech. I really am looking forward to that. For us. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks a lot, man. So yeah, we'll catch up again soon. Take care.
Yeah, we'll soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.